Hey guys, I'm back again with what I tweeted about yesterday. I wanted to make a video on this game, Ventrue versus Vatra. So it's a wild game. Casters are gonna be muted throughout the entire thing because just I don't like them and they distract from the commentary. So we're gonna get in here. So first of all, it's it's Camille Jungle, and I've seen Camille Jungle a few times in this tournament. It's been floating around. It's okay. I'm just not a huge fan, especially when you have better picks on the board, right? We see things like the Lee Sin still up. I mean, what you could have put Wukong in jungle, but then you couldn't have picked Kha'Zix, or yeah, you could have picked like Kha'Zix first. You have Lee Sin, stuff like that. That is like just I think better than the Camille. She's like the third tier down. She provides a lot of gank ability and like into the Cassidon she's very good, but you're not on red side, so you don't need to counterpick. They counterpicked themselves into the Cassidon for some reason, which is it's one of these scenarios where like Cassidon is definitely very good. I don't think there's much debating about that, but it's like why are we counterpicking ourselves into Cassidon? Um, like if you assume they pick Cassidon, then good, you just get the counterpick advantage for the next pick. But I don't know. This gets into a bigger deal about how I don't like red side currently. I think it's really bad, but whatever. So Galio, Galio Corki, Braum Vayne. Galio Corki pretty. It's okay in the early levels, but it's gonna come online way faster. So you need to take advantage of that mid game from Ventrue if you're gonna win. Other than that, Omega versus Fresh, Darius is gonna get fucked by Wukong. I mean, he does get fucked by Wukong. Not really surprised. Jungle matchup, I'd say it's pretty even. Mid lane matchup, I don't know. I don't know enough about how good post rework Ari is on this patch and how she matches up in the Cassidon. Yeah, but Wukong, especially in the top lane with Grasp, he can just you just kind of run around. You hit the enemy a couple times, and then you just use your first ability, your auto empower, and then you just hit him with the auto empower, and then suddenly you have like 40% of your health back. So, especially level 1 and 2, like it really is good against Darius and stopping his bleed abilities. Let's see. Already an early CS lead for Wukong. Camille's slower in clearing than the Kha'Zix. Um, Bot lane is also doing well in the CS lead. So the only player that really has a lead is that Cassidon. And so this is just like you don't know where the enemy jungler is, and if you don't know where they are, and if it's a Kha'Zix, like if it's any jungler that wouldn't start, like if you're a Gragas, maybe you'll start blue. I'll start blue every now and then on Gragas, just depending on what I think. But in this game, almost everyone starts on red side. So if you're the solo lane and your blue is nearest to you, if you're true blue, I suppose would be the way to say it. Then you've got to be ready for ganks, and like you can't be trading out too much because this will just happen. Like look at his positioning; he's way too far up in the lane. You can't. So like he's up here in the lane, and the middle of the lane is right here, and so Omega's just gonna get dunked on. And like even then, you can see that Fresh probably could have solo killed him if he got to the next level. It's just one of those like, yeah. Cassidon's getting pushed against Ari. That's interesting because Ari is generally very hard to push against. So we'll see. Bot lane seems to have evened out. a little bit. Um, the Corki's still pretty far ahead on CS, but like Vatra is just what? Yeah. So like the kill obviously puts Kha'Zix pretty far ahead. The assist gold going to Wukong helps a lot. But like even then, Vatra's getting out farm. Vatra's out farming in mid, but they're getting out farmed in bot. Which like I suppose you're playing Vayne Braum, you kind of expect to get annihilated in the early game. So that is what it is. Cassidy is just so fucking ridiculous. The ability to have somebody in mid lane who can be ganked and like is tanky, he has escape. Like, like just taking away the opportunity to gank mid lanes makes putting wards like right here, right? Like you put a ward like right here or something, like a deep ward. You keep putting your ward right here and tribush shit like that, you know? Like tribush here, and like you basically have full vision of where the jungle's gonna be, because they really don't want to gank mid unless they're playing Camille and they have the lockdown, the Hextech ultimatum. So it's so good. God. Yeah. So we're gonna see top lane get ganked here. Um, this is just they just stack the wave for Vatra. This is the Fresh is like the casters did some slander here. They were fucking. They were like Fresh is gonna go like I think like 0-4-14 or something. He doesn't get a single kill until late in the game. But they were doing some slander. They were like he wasn't that impactful. But like just being able to stack the wave here is just so good because it means that suddenly you can gank without really having to worry. And that is now a 0-2 Darius. And they're gonna get all this goddamn plate gold. And like look at that. Another wave coming in. It's just so good. Gaston's gonna get ganked in mid lane. But like, see how many people they have to invest and how long it takes, right? Like, you get Hextech Ultimatum, you get hit by like 4 people just constantly autoing you, and it still takes like 4 or 5 seconds. Versus the Darius who just immediately died, and so they get plate gold. This is the other thing. Like the Cassidon wave clear is fucking ridiculous. And they're gonna get first turret at 4 minutes. Like you you love to see that. I mean, so this is one of those things where Ventrue is gonna get away with murder in this game. Like they're gonna get away with some absolutely ridiculous stuff. So right, like Vatra should be in control. What you should do now, if you're Vatra, is you should go pick up Rift Herald. Um, Dragon stats are good, but they're not that good. Like this is the same problem that PC League has, which is if gold efficiency for a lot of our items is really fucking good, like 100%, then you'd want the gold, because the gold that the Rift Herald gives you is more than the effective stats than the dragons. I haven't mapped it out, so like this is not I'm not like saying this is true, but like this is my inherent assumption, which could be wrong. But the gold from the Rift Herald and just like the turret pressure plus plate money is just so good, right? Because you can just get so much gold onto your carries. So you drop the Rift Herald mid lane or bot lane probably. Bot lane would probably be better. And then everybody else walks off and you give Vayne the plate gold. And then you're just like, have fun. You know, watch our Vayne get 2 item power spike at 7 minutes. Something like that. And like, just give him dragon. Like, just give Ventrue dragon. It does not matter. Because like, if they can't scale enough to make a dragon useful, like you're scaling better anyways. And so this is where Vatra just kind of I this is this is one of those confusing plays. Be like right here, you either need to contest, or you need to go for Rift Herald. Like they know that they're taking Dragon because the ward got destroyed, and then they just kind of wait too long. We got another Nian Corky situation on our hands. So Gideon is going to use package like 7 different times and just not do anything with it. So that's something that I'm gonna talk about as we see more of it. But like, he just doesn't get value out of it here. Like, what is that? Like, just, I don't know, man. So they get a kill onto Darius again. Just like it's a good engage here. Like Cassidy goes in, hits a 3-man thing, 3-man ability. Good amount of damage. Wukong goes in with his ult, knocks up a lot of people. And like you can see, they're just kind of doming people for a bunch of damage. Unfortunately, they get under tower, so they can't really do much. And then Kha'Zix just gets a little too greedy, right? Because like here you'd rather have Rift Herald. But like now you're having to recall, which means that you can't take advantage of Rift Herald. Also, these are some fucking lazy recalls. Can I just say that? Like, the Kha'Zix one is acceptable, because at least you'd have to walk around here to hit him. But, like, I don't know. Once that gets around there, like, even the Kha'Zix recall, like, they're basically the same recall. But, like, once you've gotten this far, and then you're checking, and boom, like, I don't know. Like, man, just recall under turret. They're not gonna dive you. Why are you going that direction? And this is going, and so this is like, now because they forced Kha'Zix back, they know that they can go get Rift Herald for free. And like, this is just one of those things where they're getting away with murder here. Like, Vatra just threw 2 objectives at Ventrue, and now they're back in the game. Like, what are you doing here? If you're Vatra, what was the plan? Like, you watch the sequence, and you're like, this all stems from this fight down in Dragon. If I can get back to it. Oh, this is way too far back. Should be about 4-5 minutes-ish, yeah. So it all stems from this fight at about 5:11 and Dragon. Right, they go take Dragon really fast. So Fresh hits some really good knockups. Again, I'm raving about Fresh is very good. I like Fresh. There's some Fresh slander going about, and I think it's not deserved. But look, Kha'Zix is gonna get super greedy. He's gonna go for Raptors. Right? Like, why are you trying to take Raptors in this scenario? There is no good reason to take Raptors. It's not worth it. Just go take Herald. You are a 5-man against a 3-man, right? And even then, it's gonna be a 4-man. It's like 5v2 here, because by God, Ari's not doing anything, right? And like, your health is like okay, like it's not bad. It's enough to contest. But like instead you go to recall because you got greedy here. Oh, God. Right? Like you get greedy, you get punished. And now your health bar isn't low enough to go take Herald. And so Ventrue is gonna get away with murder and get 2 free objectives. For 2 kills. Like it's not a dragon for 2 kills is almost worth it. I'd say that's probably worth it. Because like especially if it's the first dragon, it's like whatever, you're getting a lot of gold in your pockets, and now you're getting the Rift Herald. But now they're getting the Rift Herald over, it's definitely not worth it. They're getting 2 objectives for 2 kills, and the stats on Dragon plus the gold you're gonna get from Rift Herald just isn't worth it. Now we're seeing the lane swap here. Calio Corki mid, Vayne Baral mid as well, and so it's same top lane. Anyways, not a great game for Darius. 0-3-0. Pretty good game for Wukong. 0-0-4. It's an acceptable stat line, right? Like, you don't need to be getting kills to stop lane. You need to be enabling your team. And like, Wukong isn't a carry. Like, he's an enabler, right? Like, I like jungling as Wukong because you go in, you get an engage, and you like knock some squishy targets up, and then you finish off kills. Like, you're not gonna do a lot of damage in the same way that necessarily someone like a Rengar would. So the idea is that you're going to get in there and you're going to do a lot of damage, right? And so you're also going to set up the team, right? You go in, you use Cyclone, you use your ultimate, you get that additional move speed, and you just kind of run at people, you knock them up. You Cyclone expires, you use your enable, you use your empowered auto to get some extra damage, and then you use the dash to chase people, and then you go. So this is just really like this is just unlucky, I'd argue. Like, on first glance, it looks like it's a lazy clear from Big Wall, but like, you see, he's got a ward here, so he knows nobody's in red. But he's gotten really unlucky because Camille was. Wait, what? No, this is just a lazy clear. You see Yeah, so they do damage to Camille, so they know she's here somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. She hasn't had time to recall because it's a 6-second recall time, or it's 5 or 6 seconds, like around that. And so, yeah, he just walks in and gets ganked because he's being greedy. Again, like that's just there's not much to say about that besides like think about the recall timers, right? Like it it requires 6 seconds to recall. You give him about 4 seconds, they're still there. Like if he waited a second longer, he gets that gank on Ari because Camille recalls. Now he doesn't. This is a bad Herald drop. If you're gonna drop Herald, you want to get at least one charge. Like if you think you can just afford, because like they did also back off because Herald was dropped, so it's an okay drop. But at the same time, like just walk up to tower and take advantage, demolish. You know, like okay. So look at this, right? Everyone is crowded in mid lane. They're gonna scout out Jack Locky, but Fresh is going to flash over this wall and hit a massive cyclone. And like this is just really good, like taking advantage of like bad position, like because everybody's kind of clumped in this one spot, and they're all gonna get rolled by cyclone, and that is exactly what happens. Yeah. So right because of that, they don't get a kill. Fresh gets killed, but like it's just right. Like that's just because like it's a good attempt. And like I really like the play. I think it's a good play. But at the same time, they don't have Kha'Zix, and so they just kind of get rolled. But Vayne is free firing the whole time, so yeah. So they kind of get rolled because they don't have Kha'Zix. I'm also not exactly sure like why you feel the need to engage there. Like it is like a good spot to engage, but again, you don't have Kha'Zix, your you don't have your full team, and like there's no you're behind, so you don't need to fight over the objectives. Like yeah. Well, look at what Dragon is 30. No, even more than that. It's gotta be at least a minute. When they go last Dragon, it's probably coming in at like 11-ish. maybe like 10:30, but yeah. Um, Item build stuff. So Caxton is going turbo scaling here. Um, Rod, Seraphs. So this is again a super interesting, just like a little one of those quirks, right? So you see the prom drops the red blast cone in the bush. So in case they do walk up and it's like 5 members, you can just blast cone out. That being said, have a little bit better targeting so that you don't have to, you know, yeah. Um, Again, an advantage of Extali Sea Jar versus Deadman's. I'm not a huge Deadman's right now I'm not a huge fan of Deadman's play right now. I think that the armor gives you just like because of how little gold you're gonna get as a support. Even though Wild Rift does give you a lot of the like, cause like if you look at these gold counters, like Wild Rift. Okay, we're seeing a gank, so we're gonna right. Like even though they're like almost even with like their like the lowest members, they're still at 5K. Like gold efficiency is very important because they only have like 1.5 item builds because of you get like you're gonna get 2 items as support basically. You're gonna get 2 items and boots. If the game goes long, you'll get 3. But like you're not gonna get to full build support. It just isn't happening. So having gold efficiency is really important. And Deadman's gold efficiency is worse than Siege right now, especially when it comes to things like health. Obviously the passive on Deadman's is a bit better than Ixali's, but if you're creative like Alfredo's in this scenario, I think that the Ixali's passive has its value. Um, the only problem with that is that if you go Ixali's, you kind of have to go Warmogs just to build the tank items. But yeah, so we're gonna see a 3-on-2 gank here. Just a really good gank. Everybody gets on top of the jungler, and then they kill the bomb. Right, like taking advantage of a 4v2 effectively. And like at this point, Vatra is now behind. They have beefed their huge lead that they had. And how are they gonna unbeef it? They're gonna bully the Darius top lane. Yeah, so they've kind of shifted away from a. They're starting to just bully Darius, basically. Yeah, so 10-25 Dragon, 10-20 Rift Herald. They're still synced up, good for Vatra, because it means you don't have to contest the Dragon. That's a hitbox right there. So we're seeing skirmish. It's a 2v what? 2v3, 3v3 here in bot lane. That's a hell of a hitbox from Galio right there. Yeah, I don't know. Vane's gonna come in here and do some damage. X-Tech will eliminate him onto her. Plus the heroic entrance just gets a massive knockup. And like again, the Corki package is there, but it doesn't get a lot of value. And they're gonna ace. Yeah, so again, this is beefed team fight, I'd argue, from Vatra. Because like the problem here is you let them get to this point, right? Because of the positioning of your Cassidon and your Vayne, you want them to come in from this direction so that they can do the fight, but that opens them up to just the Camille walking at them, and you don't want the jungler assassin walking at your AD carry. And you just Galio heroic entrance, get the huge knockup. The Valkyrie comes in. It's not the best, but it's like pretty good by what I'd say is my standards. Like it's an acceptable Valkyrie. And then they just, deal all the damage, get the last auto on the Vayne, and you've now got an ace, which leads to what is going to be Dragon and Rift Herald for Ventrue. And if they wanted to, they could probably take mid turret. So I'd send one of your members to take this mid turret, and then you send the rest of them to go get the Rift Herald. Probably can't get inhib here, but like this is just again 6k gold up for Ventrue. 042 on the Darius. This is making me rethink how I thought of Vatra. I remember them being. I wasn't paying it as much attention as I should have yesterday, and I thought they were just like at least staying in the game, but like holy shit, Ventrue is. This is one of those games where I think Ventrue looks better so far, right? Because like even though Omega's kind of feeding the just like the teamwork is very good and the coordination. And Darius is gonna flash out. It's an okay flash. I'm not a. It's a good one. I mean, you know, it's like if you don't know how many people are there for the team, you kind of gotta unfortunately take that. Other than that, Deadman's second item that feels like an older Darius build. It was back when he was really good. Um, but it's not bad. I think that like wouldn't you want like a black cleaver for some of the damage? Like you've got a bunch of people who are like bruisers in the like in the Camille in the Darius. You got a tank, so like you can afford to go for more like a damage build than this like tanky build. The light keeps turning off in my room because it's an automatic light, and I hate it so fucking much. Okay, so what are we looking at? We're looking at Nash, or we're looking at Baron. Other than that, no major neutral objectives for probably good 3-4 minutes. And yeah, because Dragon will probably come up at around 17, 16-ish, so. And they're going to catch Ari? No. The heroic entrance. And that is why Galio Ultimate is good. What are we looking at here? Again, just, I mean, the Wukong standard items, Camille pretty standard items. She's still got Herald, so she's gonna drop it in this bottom lane. And they're gonna bully Darius into giving a kill over to Vayne. So it's at this point Ventrue should start getting worried. I mean, because the Vayne is now level 11, and she's starting to just dome people. I remember this because it made me angry. Yeah. So I'm gonna shit talk the casters a little bit here. I mean, nothing else is really going on. They're catching out Camille, but like, I did not like their cast today. I just thought it was very below average. I mean, because they were talking about like how the Camille could have escaped if she went back down lane, but like even then, that's an even worse option because you've got the Cossacks coming from down the lane. So this is the right escape route, and even then, like the fact that they don't kill Ventrue is a travesty. Like GN just gets away like a madman. And like Wizard as the Galio, he still has summoners, he used them. But, you know, he has the ability to escape very well. And they're gonna try to counter engage, but the Braum will stop it. Okay, so the question is, why are you yeah, the casters were like saying that the Wukong didn't have a lot of impact, and I think that that's just not true again. Like the Wukong had a lot of impact. What else? Was there any other points? Nope. Okay, well, time to harp on some other shit. I don't like rum here. Like, just pick Leona or Pecan for that matter. Like, what does the rum offers you nothing in these scenarios is the problem. And that is, like, I don't think that there's any sort of there's no advantage to picking Grom, especially against like what is a Corki, because like Corki is going to try to Corki does a bunch of AOE, so like if you're standing in front of him, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so you see the Rift Herald's gonna get the charge off because they were too busy chasing. Oh god, that makes this so much worse. Vatra are getting away with murder. Ventrue are getting away with murder here. So if you're Vatra, like look at how many people come to chase GN. Just all 5 members, and he doesn't get killed. What should happen here is the Vayne should immediately once he goes over this wall, the Vayne should go clear the Rift Herald so that it doesn't get the second charge off because it's still like what? It's at 500 health. The Vayne can clear that. But instead, the Rift Herald's gonna get the second charge because everybody's gonna chase. Just fucking wild. And then the Vayne goes to clear wave, but it's already too late. The tower's at what, 128 or something? Yeah, 122. So it's just wild that they get away with that. This is very bad wave management from Vatra. Because like they have no pushing wave, so they need to start pushing out wave here too. Like I don't think they've been pushing out wave at all, and like if this wave keeps pushing, especially in top lane, that'll let Ventrue basically have an way easier access into the Baron. And like even for Ocean, like there's no way that Ventrue or Vatra can really have a nice contest here because they're just gonna get smoked. Good counter engage here. I mean, right? Because the Camille tries to take the 1v1 against the Kassadin, which big mistake. Kassadin has now reached Turbo Farm. Yeah. So you can just see how much damage he's doing and how little damage he's taking. Again, a great knockup by Wukong here. Just like if you look at this fight and you look at where everyone is, the Wukong knockup here is huge because it just slows this entire fight down, which is good for Ventrue because they were gonna get domed by a lot of damage. Other than that, the biggest thing is that the Vayne comes in and just starts doming the Corki. Because it means that the Corki can't get into the fight and he has to Why does he Valkyrie? What? Just yeah, so the Corki basically just can't get into the fight, right? So I'm not sure why he Valks over that wall. Like I don't know. It's just Corki is wild, man. But yeah, a nice knock up here leads to some kills. And if they can take Baron, the game's basically even again. Because what Baron's gonna be about 3k gold, effectively. So yeah, I think I would have preferred to see a contest here though. Like you're down, you're up 5k. Like you can afford to take 2 deaths. Like you can afford to take 2 more deaths. Just go contest Baron so that they don't get this ability to just run it down. Right, because now they're just gonna kind of run you down. They're gonna sit there on their cannon minions, and like the only person who can clear wave from range is Ari. So you're now forced into a fight with against people who have Baron buff and a fed Vayne. Yes, that is not what you want to happen. So yeah, I'd like to see the 1-3-1 because you want to see them just kind of sieging the waves, right? Because like look at this, you Corki sort of has some range, but because it's a 1/3 1, they just get forced off for free because it's a 4v3 in that scenario. But like even then, they're gonna watch because they're gonna have to answer side lane pressure here, right? Like now, Ventrue is in the scenario where they have to answer side lane pressure, and that's just not. The comp doesn't want to do that. They want to be together as 5. Fuck demolished, by the way. That rune's absolutely fucking busted. This is gonna sound wild for me to say probably because I don't like it's not like the tier 0 rune that everyone expects to be like turbo broken, but it is actually just broken beyond belief. The ability for junglers to have tower pressure is way too fucking good. It needs to be just the ability because like look at this, right? Like in this scenario they don't take the tower. Right? They have 2 cannon minions and like their health bars are super low. And just because of Demolish, they just get this tower for what is effectively free because it makes it impossible to contest. And it might be Wukong who has Demolish, but like even then, just like I don't think that you should have the ability to have solo tower pressure like the way that the Demolish rune allows you to. Anyways, Elder's probably what? Elder's at 20, I think. I think it's an auto spawn at 20. And then you've got Baron coming up at like what, 25, 23-ish? It's like 5-minute cooldown, I think. We'll see. I don't remember Baron timer that much. I need to get better at it. Build stuff. Pretty standard on Camille. Stereax. The Essence Reaver Corki. Yeah, whatever. Not like there's nothing super interesting, right? It's like normal stuff. I'm gonna say it, the builds that Ventrue are using, especially for Galio and for Galio and Darius, they just look so goddamn old. Like, who builds Zeke's Convergence anymore? What the fuck? Like, Winter's End? Like, I get why you're building it, but it's just a weird item to build. Anyways, what are we looking at for the other team? Oh, this is the other thing. The fucking Wukongs. So building Bramble Vest on the Wukong is interesting. I sort of get it, but like it's not that good, especially with the gargoyles enchant changes because the reason that I would build something like that on the Wukong is that you can go gargoyles and still get damage in, especially the bleed to stop healing the Rearth wounds. In this scenario, still can't do that. So I think it's better to just build the Executioner's Calling, which is a lot cheaper. I think it's like 200 gold cheaper. It provides you AD, and like it still gives you grievous wounds. Other than that, Cassidon is now turbo farmed. Vayne has now turbo farmed, and Braum is at his 3rd item, just like Galio. So again, just like not a bad Braum build. I don't think it's bad by any means, especially when you like because Protector's Vow isn't that great, but like it's really good on Braum, who plays like he sits on top of his team, and then you shield. Baron will be up in 30, and so will Elder. I mean, this is a good scenario for Vatra because even though like the game is even okay, and like the scaling that Ventrue or the scaling this is a good scenario for Ventrue actually. Because like the scaling that Vatra has, like their ability to scaling with carries, is kind of nullified to a certain extent with the fact that you have the You have the three dragons. So yeah, in this scenario, like I think that you either need to say we can win the 5v5 team fight, or you go and you take the opposite objective. Like you see that there's already a lot of vision for Ventrue around Baron. Um, Not even sure what this package is, but this is just like Githian is just gonna get turbo fucked, right? Because like I think it's a misclick that would explain it, or he just didn't remember he had package. Because like that doesn't seem intentional. And then Jack Lockie's just gonna go in. He's turbo prone, so he's gonna deal a ton of damage. And then the Wukong is gonna hit a 4-man knockup, compounded with the Braum stun. Like you got nothing, and the Vayne's just dunking. Yeah, but in this scenario, if you're Vatra, like the person you want to kill most is Jian because he has the smite. He can make it a 50-50, you know? So he's either going to go for Elder first. I'm not a huge fan of this decision. I think that Baron is much better, especially with the Elder buff being temporary. I think that it gets a lot worse because like there's no the trade-offs for Baron is basically you win the game in this scenario, while Elder lets you win more team fights. Wukong goes back to clear wave, and so they're gonna recall. They're gonna go for Baron, I assume. Also, Wukong building Force of Nature for some reason. Like they don't have that much AP, brother. Like something like the res item is a lot better, especially because it gives you the AD to continue doing a lot of damage. But 0-3-11, it's the big stat line of the game, I'd argue. Just the ability to say that like he didn't need kills, like he cared, he did his own way through this game, right? Because like the Kha'Zix of the Vayne have been doing a lot of work, but I think that the Wukong was my standout star because just there were like 3 or 4 separate instances of him just getting these big knockups that have like done a lot of damage. But he's gonna get caught out, so he dies. This leads to this sort of chaotic team fight. It is a good catch by Ventrue, obviously, but I don't know. This is just like I'm just watching these teams throw. Like I can only like here's the problem, right? I'm only imagining like Icons has ruined me because I sit here and I watch these like NA teams that are like grinding and like this is not a bad game by any means, but like it reminds me of like not even like the bottom of China because I'm just watching these teams like throw these huge fucking advantages. Like teams like FPX would throw, but they throw it Baron because like they lose the Baron fight by like a 50-50, which fucking happens. Like you're gonna lose 50-50s in this scenario. But like in this scenario, just take your entire fucking team and have them run here and just go for the fucking go for the base racing. And in this scenario, you're just watching these three teams just kind of like they just everybody just kind of runs where they want to. They just kind of forget about Kha'Zix and they run at Camille and they run at Darius, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, split into a 3v2 and like try to help the Kha'Zix escape, and so that you have a smite. Because now that you've traded junglers, a Baron is a 50-50. So you either need to get 2 more kills and make it a 75-20 or like 80-20. 75-25, not 70-20. But like you need to make it so that you have the advantage somehow. And like your carry is up, true, but you don't have a like specific advantage because of package. So like Corki just packages in, and like suddenly the fight is chaos. It's a 50-50. Their jungler will be up first, so they can start Baron before you can. Of course, that isn't going to happen because most junglers are dead. But like, if you have a jungler in this scenario, you are immediately winning this game. And so now we're back to a 5v5. Like, this is, like, nothing changed from that fight. Why did you take it, right? And there's no reason to take a fight most of the time. You can just kind of walk off. Like, I mean, unless they engage on your carry. And so, like, you gotta decide which fights you want to take and why. And, like, they're just taking a fight for no reason. Ventrue specifically, right? Like, they should have just caught the Wukong out and either base raced and tried to kill them or left. Pretty sure the Elder buff is worn off by this point, so. What the hell was that? Did he try to? So, this is either just a misclick or the Vayne just does some sneaky shit. I can't tell. It looks like the Vayne rolls in that scenario and like goes invisible for a second, which is why the Hex Tech lands. Because I don't see any reason why you would Hex Tech Braum. And then they're just gonna Vayne's gonna use Final Hour. There goes RH. She gets burst down by Kha'Zix. And boom, here comes Wukong. 4-man knockup. Vayne is now free firing. Yeah, so like that was entirely Wukong. Cause like look at this. They lose this fight without Wukong. It's a 4v3. He just walks in, hits a 4-man knockup. For God's sakes, play around it. Yeah, so Camille's not gonna be able to end, so they're just gonna base race. Right, like the amount of times it takes the minions, Camille knows that she has to get back, but they can just end the game. Yeah, so this is just like this was a disappointing game, okay? Like I like because just both teams threw so many leads. So like you're just watching these teams throw away leads. And like it's an enjoyable game and it's a good game to watch. It's not like when I was just kind of watching this yesterday, I was like, oh, this is fun. Like it's a close game, it's enjoyable. But it's just not a good game. Like what the fuck was this? So the things that I put on Twitter yesterday that I think still hold true. First of all, I'm knocking both these teams down. This was like watching children fight in the schoolyard. Like god damn. Cassidy is good, but he is basically Oriana too. Like you play him like a turbo scaler, and you just scale until you hit like your third item or something, right? You go Seraphs, you go Rod of Ages, you go Rabadons, and then suddenly you start killing everybody. Boom. Um, yeah, Fresh was very good. I think that like if I had to pick an MVP, it'd be Fresh. Like I care about effective value for teams a lot. Like I care about what you do for your team. And like if you're not doing anything, if you're a top lane but you're getting a ton of kills, you're like if you're like if Fresh had like 4 kills, right? If he was 4-0 and 15 instead, I don't think I or like if Fresh had like half of his kills and half assists, right? Like if he was like 7-4 and 15, people would be raving about it because he's like that's a fucking insane stat line, right? Especially for a top laner. But people aren't putting together the like especially the people that were watching this, like I was just watching people be like, especially in the chat, be like, "Oh, Fresh wasn't that good." Like shit, like that's what I heard, and I was like, "No, Fresh was very, very good this game." Omega got fucking rolled Maybe he just wasn't comfortable on the Darius. Maybe he just like you need a better counter. You're on blue side. Like Fresh got counter pick, which is true, but at the same time, you gotta be able to like blind Garen or like blind Riven, like somebody who's not gonna lose to Wukong or like every single because like even then like they could have picked Chase and like rolled Omega like maybe not have the same impact, but like it does the same thing. I really liked the for Ventrue though. I really liked the mid jungle duo, and that still holds true. I think that they had pretty good coordination from what I saw. Yeah, like their ganks were not bad, and I liked them. And like Big Wall and get Githian off of Corgi. Like you don't notice the 6 kills, like because an ADC's gonna have that many. But like there were so many moments where I was just like, yeah, that's a throw. Yeah, that's a throw. Like I don't know. It's just like put people in comfort picks for God's sake. I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind.